Welcome back to ParlourTalk. We're still talking about the 2019 presidential election. Right. Before the break, we were talking about how INEC has conducted the election. So I'll just come straight to you, um, Derek. What do you think of the voter turnout in this election? Is that really a testament of the will and resolve of Nigerians for this election? Because I was looking at before the election, I was looking at places like Lagos State, where they had about over 5 million PVCs collected before the election, and at the end
Right.
of the day, the votes counted, well, less than 600,000, if I'm right,
Now
or
I
around
think
six. Yeah. What did you say, Yemi?
about a million, five something, four
Oh,
something. So let's just say a million.
yeah. Let's say about a million. Yeah, I stand to be corrected. About a million because I know a PDP are at around 400 and something thousand, and APC at around 500 and something thousand. Yeah, about a million. So even at that, a million to 5 million, there's a lot of gaps there, and that seems to be widespread. That seems to be all over Nigeria. So the voter turnout. So what do you think of it?
The voter turnout was, in my opinion, it was terrible. But if you want to compare the numbers we had in 2015 and the numbers we had this year, you see there's a difference. And
What's
one
the
would
difference?
expect that figure was going to go higher in 2019 because we had a lot of voter education going on.
Yeah,
We had
sensitization. Yeah,
sensitization
a
going
lot of people
on.
got involved. Yeah.
You had a lot more people getting involved. You see the number of that shows you the indication is the number of PVCs collected
Yeah.
nationwide. But with the figures we saw, it's not a surprise because the postponement of the election, I would say, to a very large extent,
Discourage
affected
people.
affected the figures we see today because it discouraged people. And not to forget that persons who probably took their card in Lagos or Port Harcourt or in Anambra or wherever
Yeah,
had already traveled for the initial dates. You don't expect those people to travel again for elections
that's true.
when it's not like the transport fare is free.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's true.
the postponements, I would say, directly affected the figures we had. And people just felt like, well, if you do that kind of thing in Nigeria, they'll be like, oh, they don't start again. They are
Yeah.
not serious. So that was a major factor. And for some states, I think the violence discouraged people from coming out as well. Some states where we had pockets of violence here and there. In River State,
Yeah.
in Lagos, you had a few places with violence reported. And in the south, mostly in the south, we had issues here and there in a few states that were mentioned. I think as a result of the violence, I remember sharing a video with you, Shegun.
Yeah. You shared a
Who,
lot of videos
who
with
in
me.
their right senses, hearing those gunshots, will come out to vote? Vote for who?
That's true. That's true. Because I know a few of my people who said they had to stockpile food in the house because they were expecting violence and
Yeah.
everything to be at standstill before and after the election. So
But
those people definitely did not go out to
They,
vote. I
they,
know that.
you can see from their statement that they didn't plan to go out to vote.
Yeah.
And I was having a discussion with someone. I can't remember if it was you, Shaka. I said one of the reasons why we had the large turnout of PVC collection was because some persons just collected it as a means of identification.
Yeah.
So not because they intended to go and vote or exercise their civic duties, but just because I need this as a means of identification. It might be needed somewhere.
Yeah.
I know there are some churches who said, "Oh, you need to collect your PVC and all of that." I can't remember if it was this election or the last election. I know there were some Catholic churches who say, "Oh, if you don't collect PVC, you won't get communion and all of that."
I didn't
So,
hear about that one.
so
Yomi, did you hear something about
I think it was in the 2015 elections or so. But I did hear of instances like that. So things like that will make people go out and collect their PVCs.
that? All right. Thank you. Let me throw the same question to Yomi. I'll just put a write down on that question.
Right.
Right. Derek has talked about the reason for experiencing the turnout we got in this election. Right.
Right.
Let me just add a rider to it, like the voting pattern. So we just kind of make it a twin question. Right. The voting pattern, does that really represent the will of the people? Does it show that that's how Nigerians intended to vote, or is there an undertone or any reason why things are the way they are, other than the fact that maybe Nigerians just don't care, or maybe people are just scared to go out? Because I'll give you an example, or to just point you in the right direction, really. After this election, Vice President Atiku Abubakar, or former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, claimed that there were a lot of voter suppression and disenfranchisement in his stronghold. In his own word, disenfranchisement in his stronghold. And also, I looked at the pattern in this election. I looked at some of these results, and I was looking at the results in 2015 in some of this so-called stronghold, and I see a lot of difference. Yeah, there were arguments, there are suggestions that 2015 election experienced knee-jerk reaction from PDP, and they had to write a lot of numbers for certain areas. But that said, it has to be reasonably comparable. So now, do you think that the result, the way it's shaped out, is the true reflection of the will of the people, which makes the election free, fair, and credible?
Right. Okay. Well, so first thing, yes. Let me just go back to the first question, the one Derek answered,
Yeah.
and just add a few things to it. I think that Nigerians, on the contrary, have become more enlightened, right? And so the poor turnout that we witnessed in these past elections is basically a reflection, in my opinion, it's a reflection of the fact that, number one, people clearly saw, especially the enlightened ones, clearly saw that it was a contest between the old guards, right? And rather than go out to vote, a lot of people just decided that, you know what, there's no point wasting my vote. So as much as they followed the newbies, the fella Drotoyes and all of follow them on social media and follow their arguments and all of that, the people still knew at the end of the day that it was not going to, that the third force would not put up a serious fight, a fight serious enough to pose a serious challenge to, the establishment, so to say. That's number one. Number two, you also had a case where there were serious drums of war before this election. We shouldn't forget. People started doing all sorts of things. I remember the PDP chairman in Rivers State said that, if there is rigging, there will be war. The president said, whoever tries to snap ballot boxes will pay with his head. So all of those rhetorics, just created an apathy in the system that made people say, you know what, as much as Nigeria is not working for me, I still need to be alive.
It's not worth dying for.
Exactly. So people just got to that point and I said, it's not worth it.
Sorry to cut you, Bayo. Let me just throw a quick question to you. Do you think those statements were intentional? Do you think, like the statement from the president which said, anybody who snatches ballot boxes will pay with his life. Do you think those statements were intentional to scare people from going out to vote so that they could doctor the results? That's just a thought that just crossed my mind.
Conspiracy theory, yeah. Background.
I wouldn't say that it was. I would not say that it was made intentionally to scare people away from voting. I would say that the president, you see, for the first time, I mean, I've been following elections since say 2003. Muhammad Buhari, as a presidential candidate, has never been this scared.
You think
You know,
so?
and he said, yeah,
You think so?
in my opinion. You see,
Okay.
because the man was pushed based on the fact that he saw a clear apprehension of not knowing how this election was going to go. Because the truth of the matter is, my friend, it was so serious at some point that nobody knew where this election was going to go,
True.
including, including the ruling party. And so it was pushed to that extent that he started, because he knew that rigging was going to happen. And so he was like saying, if anybody, he just wanted to create,
Yeah.
because we had a situation whereby even there was a perception in some quarters that even the international community were already moving towards the opposition. And
True.
so, in order to make those kind of statements to, let people know that, we're going to use the full force of the law to deal with whoever, makes sure that this election does not go in their favor. Now, obviously, it chose his words carefully. But you see, like I said, it's a two-way thing. Now, so I think that those factors eventually contributed to why people just said, you know what, at the end of the day, it's a battle between these two people anyway. It's not like my preferred candidate to still win. Do you understand? So why would I go out and my time? And again, in this election, unlike what used to happen in the past, monies did not exchange hands like that. Unlike before, where you had allegations of people coming into Lagos to come and spend 1 trillion naira, 2 or 3 days before the election, and there, unlike in the past, where you had clear cases of people doling out huge sums of money, and because of certain policies of this government, it was more or less a case of it was only a few people within the ruling party that had access to money. And now I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to go forward, but
Yeah.
you understand.
Yeah.
So PDP, on the other hand, even though I don't know, maybe they had access to money or not, but I know that their operations were significantly hampered in terms of being able to do the logistics. Because don't forget,
Sorry,
we had
sorry to butt in. Just before you leave that talk,
yeah,
I read in Punch newspaper this morning that there were some guys that were arrested at Mauritius Airport, um,
yes,
and the Nigerian army had to confiscate money.
yes,
Was it the Nigerian army or the EFCC had to
yes,
confiscate a
yes,
large sum of money from them? But the
yes,
plane won't take off because of the money they were carrying. And
yes.
apparently they had a code that if they give the code to the law enforcement agencies, they should recognize it and should just give them a free pass to wherever they're going. So it was alleged that the money was destined to go to Kwara State.
Hmm.
The destination was Kwara State, but the money was intercepted and it was seized. There hasn't been any corroboration or any
Both are.
rebuttal from the government other than the EFCC leadership saying that it could have been doctored.
Exactly, exactly. So at the end of the day, these are the kind of things that make people say, you know what, we're not going to get money. I'm not going to risk my life. At the end of the day, it's still going to be between the two old guards anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so Joy, let me one question you asked.
Yeah.
You see, in terms of whether the pattern reflects the wishes of the Nigerian people, if you look at the map, right? So
Yeah.
you have all the 19 states, well, not all, but majorly some states in the north, almost all the states in the north, with the exception of Mitu and Adamawa,
Mm-hmm.
going to President Buhari, and then you come down south. That fundamentally reflects the fault lines of our nation in
Yeah.
terms of you have up north, sticking to the person they know,
Yeah.
or not necessarily, because you see, at whose
Let me try and break
candidature,
that up.
or where
Right.
you understand. So basically, I don't want to, dwell too much on, our fault lines as a nation, but this election reflected the same thing we have always known from, 1999. At the end of the day, it's what the people want. Now, the question also about the turnout. the turnout is, I think, about less than 40%. It
Thirty-five
goes
percent,
back
I
to what
think.
I said. Yes, it goes back to what I said. Apathy, dread of war, money. Because you had, okay, let me just give you an example. I spoke to a few guys, some of my neighbors, who actually told me that, you know what? I said, I just asked them, who are you going to vote for? And then the question was like, we won't know until the morning of the election. Because clearly they were expecting that they would get to the polling booth, someone would accost them, give them some money. And that was impossible this time around. Well, it wasn't so pronounced anyway. So that
Yeah,
significantly used, that, and so the natural pattern just naturally emerged. In my opinion, that's what I think happened.
yeah, and
Sorry, Shagun. Back to the money intercepted.
yeah.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist.
Well, you are.
Yes,
No, see, the thing is this. Shagun knows I'm a PDP apologist,
Yeah, he's a
right?
PDP apologist. I should have said that at the start of the program.
But I'm trying to keep my
You're trying to be objective.
yes. So, but let's look at it this way. That money that was intercepted, if that money had belonged to the opposition
Yeah,
PDP,
there would have been a lot of
there would
noise
have
about
been
it.
a lot of
I know.
noise about it. Bayo, I don't know
absolutely.
if you get where I'm coming from. There would have been a lot of noise about it. But because, in my own opinion, that money belongs to the APC, you are not going to hear anything about it other than it being carried on the newspapers.
Well, they've not even helped us substantiate the fact that there was actually money.
They will not corroborate it. That is the
Although
thing.
it's reported, they've not reported the fact that there was money, but they've not
Yeah.
substantiated. They've just created a conjecture or make a shroud everything in mystery,
Which they always do.
Yeah, to just confuse people the more.
And secondly, I want to take us back to the question of postponement. We did talk about postponement.
Yeah.
But there is one very vital question that we missed. Did the postponement of the elections alter the results? Or did it in any way impact the results we have today?
I think ultimately, yes. There's no way you can analyze. I don't know if it's okay for me to go ahead and answer that question. Sorry, I just jumped.
It's fine. Yeah,
Yes,
go on.
it's an open question for anybody.
There's no way that the postponement could not have impacted. Now, obviously, I'm not going to share. So, I don't want us to, have to start talking about rumors, parlor gossips, and all of that.
Mm.
Feelers that got to me indicated that certain plans were nipped in the bud. So I'm not going to go beyond that and say, obviously, because it's a platform for public consumption.
Yeah.
But I that, and that's why I said that only the INEC chairman knows
Why
truly.
it would cancel an election 6-7 hours before it happening.
It was due to logistics.
Now, whether or not, is it because the thing about politics, right, is the less you look, and the more you look, the less you see. There are certain things that would obviously be not be unknown to you and I, because obviously we don't have access to security reports and all of that. What I know is that election, yes, impacted. Now, it may not have tilted it particularly in the favor of a particular candidate, but I know that it threw up a lot of issues in terms of places like strong, because really, whether you're an APC apologist or you're a PDP apologist, what is the justification, or how can you rationalize a Yobe state giving?
I'll bring that up while you're talking about it. Yobe State.
You understand? And then, is it again, interestingly,
Oh, sorry.
whatever calculation that people did, there is no way that the PDP on one hand can fault this election, and then just in the second breath, not be able to reject, because if PDP comes out to say that, okay, this election, how would PDP explain that one in Oyo and Ondo? So I think that around that area lies the brilliance and the ingenuity of all the engineering that went into this election. You cannot get elections from the result from Yobe and then in the same breath accept the result from Edo.
Bayo, sorry to cut you, For Ondo State, there might be a reason for that.
Right.
Myself and Shagun, we've had this discussion.
Okay.
Those state, there's infighting within the ruling party.
Can I get you to hold that thought? We'll
Okay.
take a short break and we'll be back in a second. Hold that,
Right.
keep it burning, and I'll be with you in a sec. See you
All
right.
right.